Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's live stream. This has been many months and many strategy sessions and many smart people here at Plotly giving their best to make this a reality. It's been a journey to get here, and we're so excited to bring it to you. We are announcing Dash Enterprise 5.0. Today, we'll introduce you to the latest and greatest version of today's best analytical app deployment platform. We're going to get started in just a couple more moments, so hopefully you maintain that excitement as we continue. We have a couple more minutes for some more people to join today's broadcast. All right, folks, we have made it to the beginning of today's broadcast. Once again, this is announcing Dash Enterprise 5.0. My name is Sebastian Layton Cooper. I'm a product marketing coordinator here at Plotly, and it is my distinct pleasure to bring you today's live stream. We are going to take a journey today through a brief introduction, then we'll take a look at Dash and Dash Enterprise and what it truly aims to accomplish and why we wanted to bring you all of these new next generation features, including the new dashboard engine. We're very excited to showcase and preview exactly how that can revolutionize your workflow. And then we'll take a look at what is new in Dash Enterprise 5. We have things like the fully native Kubernetes architecture that we're very excited to demo for you. Lastly, we'll wrap everything up and we'll finish with our Q&A. We're very eager to hear exactly what you think Dash Enterprise 5 can bring to you and what questions you may have for us as we continue along this journey. Speaking of questions, here is how you will use the interface to add your questions into the chat box. As you think of things, make sure you're plugging them away. We definitely want to hear from you. We definitely want to make sure that you get your questions answered as we begin this journey with you and your company. And without further ado, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our leadership, our speakers for today's broadcast. We have our CEO, Jack Parmer, our CPO and Dash creator, Chris Parmer, and Nicolas Kruchten, our Vice President for Product. These gentlemen are very excited and very ready to show you exactly how Dash Enterprise 5 came to be and how it can produce results for your businesses. So, Jack, the floor is all yours.
Cool. Thank you, Sebastian. That was great. Looks like We've got about 800 people that have joined us today, which is really great. Thank you for taking time out of your workday to join us for this product launch, and hope you get a lot out of it. So Dash has been around since you know almost 5 years now, and at every Fortune 500 company in the U.S., we know that there are Dash users, and that's something we're really proud of. It's gratifying to think that at every Fortune 500 company in the US, there's an engineer or a scientist or an analyst or even someone making their first Python project who is creating a Dash app and bringing advanced Python analytics, advanced R analytics, advanced Julia analytics to life through a Dash app user interface. That's something we're really proud of. We really enjoy the creative process of creating Dash apps. We really enjoy creating user interfaces to Python models and artificial intelligence and machine learning concepts. And we're proud and excited to have kind of brought that to the US Fortune 500 through open source. Dash Enterprise was released at the same time as Dash open source, and it's used by about 10% of the US Fortune 500, a fact we're also very proud of. And at these US blue chip companies with Dash Enterprise, we're really trying to facilitate the transition from BI, so kind of legacy, monolithic, closed platform analytics software like Tableau or Power BI over to AI on an open, hackable platform, based in the languages that are strongest in artificial intelligence and data science. So Python, R, Julia, C#, MATLAB. And it's been very gratifying to see this kind of new paradigm and new approach of an open, hackable deployment platform bring AI software and AI initiatives at large companies to life and make AI software that's been developed in languages like Python accessible through a point-and-click user interface that is a Dash app on Dash Enterprise. So today, Dash Enterprise is about 10% of the US Fortune 500, and our goal over the next several years is to bring Dash Enterprise into 100% of the US Fortune 500, and that's really about bringing AI apps into US Fortune 500 companies at scale in a secure way, in a scalable way. We want AI apps to be as prevalent, in corporate America as BI dashboards are today. And whether that is on the Dash Enterprise platform or other platforms, we're certain that, that's going to happen in the next several years. It already is happening. So if you're excited about what we're doing, and bringing AI apps to the business world on an open, hackable platform, definitely write into us. We really, our sales leader can't hire account executives fast enough. We had an account executive start today on the Eastern Seaboard. And if you are on this call and you're at a company and you don't yet have Dash Enterprise, and you're interested in bringing AI apps or user interfaces to Python models into your company, please reach out during or after the webinar. We're monitoring info at plotly.com, today and over the next week. So we'll be looking for people that join this webinar, and we'd love to hook you up with a sales engineer and kind of give you a customized demo and talk about your use cases and the AI apps that you'd like to bring to life in your company. So Dash Enterprise 5, in my mind, it's really it's the next generation of the product that's been in development for more than a year that is going to help us bring AI apps to the rest of the Fortune 500. it's got, in my mind, 3 significant developments over the last generation of the product, Dash Enterprise 4. It's based entirely on a Kubernetes architecture. So, the Kubernetes landscape has matured and evolved a lot over the past couple of years, even the last year. And, we use that as an opportunity to start from a blank slate with respect to the Kubernetes architecture of Dash Enterprise and really bring in what we think is kind of the best technology, and especially the technology that works well in the enterprise environment. So if you're a company on Azure, AWS, GCP, our Dash Kubernetes cluster can install and spin up on your cloud in under 10 minutes. So you pretty much instantly have an instant deployment platform for AI apps if you're on one of these clouds that's kind of based on the latest and greatest of enterprise Kubernetes. The other development that I'm really excited about, and you're going to see in a minute here with Nick, is a low-code capability called Dashboard Engine. So before Dash was even released, I was lucky to be one of the first people to create a Dash app. And I look at Dashboard Engine now and make Dash apps with Dashboard Engine, and I can't imagine not making a Dash app with Dashboard Engine. The apps just look so crisp. They look, I think, truly better than a dashboard in Tableau or Power BI, but they're connected to powerful, custom Python, R, Julia computational code that you've written on the back end. So you can make anything that you would make in Power BI or Tableau with Dashboard Engine with a drag and drop interface, but then you can also layer on kind of all the juicy analytics that come with Python. You can layer on natural language processing. You can layer on clustering. You can layer on predictive analytics. You can layer on computer vision. So, low-code tools like Dashboard Engine really take businesses where past the limits of BI software like Tableau and Power BI. Our goal with Dash Enterprise is to take businesses where Power BI and Tableau simply can't go because they don't have the low-code backend, they don't have that open hackable platform, and they don't have the computational power and AI and ML libraries that come with languages like Python, R, Julia, C#, MATLAB. So, I think without further ado, I want to get you all to the good stuff. Nicolas and Chris have some really awesome, fun demos planned for you. And I want to thank you again for taking kind of time out of your workday to join us for this awesome product launch.
Thanks, Jack. So this is a little bit of what Dash Enterprise 5 looks like. This is a collection of apps that that I've made and deployed over the last couple of months as we've been developing the platform. And before we get into more kind of the features about Dash Enterprise, I want to share with you just kind of what Dash apps look like and the types of applications that we're seeing our customers make, in case this is the first time that you've heard about Dash or that you're seeing Dash. So as Jack mentioned, Dash apps are written entirely in a data science programming language like Python, R, Julia, C#, .NET. And a lot of applications look like this. You have a model that you've written in one of those languages, whether that's a simulation, natural language processing, an ML, machine learning model, image analysis, financial modeling. And that model is going to have a set of parameters. And in the old world, you would spin up your terminal and put in those those parameters into your terminal and run your model and print out some figures on your desktop. And with Dash Enterprise, you can turn that model into a web application. You can turn that script into a web app. So this is a Dash application, and those parameters to that model are exposed in this web interface. And then you're going to have a button here where you can run that model. And that model could be super complex. It could take an hour to run. You might be using different background queue technology that's available in Dash Enterprise to run all that stuff in the background, or it might update instantly. And what the result is this really nice, responsive, beautiful web application that you can share with anyone inside your organization so that they can run that same model. They don't have to download Python on their own computer or run Jupyter on their own workstation to view the same data and models that you're running. With Dash applications, with all these web applications, Python is in the loop. Python or R, Julia is in the loop. And that's really powerful because these applications are running models directly. This is a natural language processing application, very similar to what a lot of our customers are doing when they're starting to look at operationalizing their customer service organization at scale, looking at the different types of requests that are going into their organization, categorizing in different ways using NLP techniques, and doing this on the fly as part of the application. Because Python and the programming languages are running on the fly in the loop in the application, this is just an app that you couldn't make in a off-the-shelf BI platform like Tableau or Power BI, because the data is being computed on the fly. It's not already in a database. You're not just looking at the existing data. You're actually running this model on the fly. And from a technical point of view, that's just one of the fundamental differences about analytic applications and traditional BI dashboards. And the reason why traditional BI dashboards are a good fit for the modern analysis that we're doing, the modern data science that we're doing inside our organizations. Now, some Dash applications are going to look like traditional dashboards. Python, these programming languages, they're the Swiss Army knife of programming, right? Like, you can run any type of model, but you can also connect to any type of data set. You can connect to databases, you can run third-party APIs. If you have microservices inside your organization that your data pipeline team has set up, your Dash application can make requests to those data microservices. And you can create these really nice, beautiful web applications that look like traditional dashboards. They're very consumable. They're made with cutting-edge data visualization techniques. But these applications, they're interactive. You're creating them programmatically, so you have a lot of control around the interactions inside your application, much more than you would get with a off-the-shelf dashboarding tool. So this is a really great example that we made with one of our customers to help run their organization, where when you click on these different points, you can press this button, and this is going to show a modal where you can, where you're actually going to transfer funds from one department to the other. So Dash applications aren't just displaying data, but they can also trigger actions. You can embed forms inside of them and actually have the application run certain internal business operations, whether that's running a model or whether that's actually transferring funds from department to department. These are really, that's why we call these applications, analytic apps or web apps rather than just dashboards, because you can do a lot more with these types of internal websites, internal Dash applications. These Dash applications can update in real time. There are components that help facilitate that. The whole suite of caching databases that are available on Dash Enterprise help facilitate this in a really performant way so that you're not hitting your own database every call, but you can actually cache that data in an intermediate place, or you can, hit the database every time. And this data isn't static. It's updating real time. It can be updating in the background. And a lot of these applications that we've looked at so far kind of look like, they've got a lot of traditional business types of charts in them, but our roots as a company were in the sciences and engineering, and it was really important that we bring the full suite of scientific visualization into the Dash application framework. So we have a lot of customers in the Department of Energy labs. This is a model that is written by customers at NREL, the Renewable Energy Laboratory, looking at wind turbine fluid dynamics. And just another example of something really interactive. It's running the model on the fly, great for internal scientific communication, great for validating the work that you're doing internally, communicating those results inside your own lab, or sharing those results to your external stakeholders. Models like this before, when you share those results, it might be in a PowerPoint deck with a bunch of screenshots. Our customers really like being able to actually send their own customers, their own stakeholders, an interactive link where you can play around with that model yourself. And it was really important to us, coming from the scientific background and then also doing a lot of data viz before we started Plotly, where we wanted to give our customers a ton of control over the look and feel of the applications, but also on the types of data viz that they can create. And it's been, to my great delight, seeing our customers in the sports industry, the professional sports industry, really run with custom data viz. This is shot analysis for the NBA, and these are really custom, tailor-made visualizations for their use case. You can't open up Excel and create something like this. You really need programming language and the flexibility of programming to be able to create these types of rich visualizations. And when we wrote Dash 4 years ago, it was really important to us that we'd have a really broad ecosystem of visualization components and other types of web components. So we've built out a whole set of bio components for doing 3D visualization, molecules, and other chemistry. And we've seen a lot of customers come into us over the last year from the pharma industry, either doing new drug development or managing their clinical trials. This is a really great application just showing what clinical trial-like applications are looking like, where you've got a set of parameters over in the left-hand corner that are going to run that model. You're running this survival analysis on the fly. This isn't data that's just in a database that you can visualize immediately. You're actually running, you're getting the data, clinical data from the database, but then you're running intermediate computations in a programming language like Python or R before visualizing it. And that's the type of sort of Python in the loop kind of workflow that Dash enables. This application uses some of the Dash Enterprise features like the snapshot engine and the reporting engine, so that if you select a particular set of selection criteria, you can save that exact view, and then you can send that out to internal stakeholders. And that exact view might be a web report, but that exact view could also be rendered as a really high quality PDF that then you print out or you email out as an attachment. And this PDF content is written in Dash as well. So one application for the entire platform, from the web app to the PDF reporting. So that's just sort of a little overview of the types of applications that you can make with Dash and Dash Enterprise. I'm going to pass it over to Nick to start talking about some of the highlights of Dash Enterprise, including the feature that I'm most excited about. I think this is the biggest technological leap we've made as a company since we launched Dash 4 years ago in 2017. So Nick, please take it away with Dashboard Engine.
Thanks very much, Chris. Let me just take over your screen here. All right. I'm really excited to tell you about what we've been working on for the past 18 months within the Dashboard Engine team. But the way I'm going to do that is by basically telling you why we built Dashboard Engine. So here is an application that's running on our Dash gallery right now. It's been part of our gallery, part of our demos since the very beginning of Dash. And it's one of those sort of dashboard style applications that Chris was mentioning earlier. So what you've got here is essentially one sort of static data set. It's information about oil and gas wells in the state of New York, and a bunch of different views of that data set. So here we have a timeline of when the wells were created, were constructed, the number of wells, how much gas, oil, and water has been produced by these wells over time. I've got a nice map here, and I can hover over it and see some line charts, some pie charts. And I've also got a number of widgets, so I can control, I can remove gas development wells. I can make a selection over here. And the basic pattern here is that any selection you make is sort of reflected everywhere else. This is a pretty typical dashboard style dash application. It's about 1,000 lines of Python code, which in the grand scheme of things is actually really good. This is the original promise of Dash, that you could write this kind of application in pure Python without having to know any JavaScript. Now, over the past few years, in talking to customers, there are two basic questions keep coming up about this kind of app. One, folks are asking us, how can we build Dash applications like this faster? And two, how can Dash developers empower end users to sort of drill into the data more and create their own views? So here, we've got a number of charts that have been put together by the developer, like I said, about 1,000 lines of handwritten Python. But if a user is saying, I'm curious about, I want to see a scatter plot of gas versus oil, you basically have no choice but to go back to the original developer and say, hey, can you please, dive into this handwritten code, make some modifications, and get me that scatter plot. And Dash lets you do that, and Dash Enterprise makes that fairly easy. But with Dashboard Engine, we're really sort of raising the bar in terms of what you can do. So let me show you how Dashboard Engine makes this far easier. I'm going to switch over and show you some code. So here is a 20-line Dash application. This application is based on a template that's part of the Dash Enterprise app catalog, which Chris will be showing you in just a little bit. So you can basically create this application in Dash Enterprise with just a few button clicks. I'm not going to walk you through the details of it, but I did want to show you that this is the actual code. Dashboard Engine is right here. So Dashboard Engine is a new Python module exclusive to Dash Enterprise that's going to power the rest of my demo. A couple of key points here. I'm loading a pandas data frame, just a single long form tidy data frame from a Parquet file. That's the data that we'll be analyzing or building our dashboard on top of. I create a regular Dash app. I load up some Dashboard Engine stuff. I'll be talking about that in a second. And I put a couple of things in the app layout. So here I've got DDK is the Dash design kit and it's a Dash Enterprise library for styling Dash applications. And the key piece here is the canvas. If you have ever written a Dash application before, you might be wondering where the callbacks are in this app. This is only 20 lines. What could this app possibly do? Let's take a look. So here's the result of actually running this app. And unsurprisingly, it's not that busy for just 20 lines of code, but looks can be deceiving. So this big blank space here, this is the canvas. This is the dashboard canvas, which is the primary Dash component that Dashboard Engine makes available to Dash app developers. And so here's what it's like to use the dashboard canvas. I click on this little pencil to put it into the edit mode. I click on the plus button to add an element to my application. And now I'm using this GUI editor. So let's add a bar chart. And let's add that timeline chart of when the wells in the data set were constructed. So I'll map the date well completed to the x-axis. It's automatically been by year because of the date range. And the y-axis will be count. All right, all good. Pretty easy to make a chart. This element is sitting on a card. This card is resizable. It's draggable. I can go, put it over here. But what about interaction? Well, let's add a filter. The original apps had some drop downs. Let's add a drop down. I'll create another card. On this one, I'll put a drop-down menu. This drop-down menu will be mapped to the well type variable, and I'll allow multiple selections. So now when I get out of edit mode here, if I make a selection in my well type, say, gas development wells, automatically the bar chart over here, the bar chart filters down to my selection, and I can continue playing with my selection. So this is basically how Dashboard Engine relates multiple elements via what's called cross-filtering. Any selection made in any element is applied to every other element. In this case, it's pretty clear. It's sort of unidirectional. I'm making a selection in a drop-down, and the bar chart is updating. But this actually works in all directions. So let me show that. If instead of a drop-down menu, I actually have another bar chart, this time the count of wells by well type. There's a few too many of these, so let's choose just the top 10. Great. And let's actually add some color. In this case, color and the x-axis are the same thing, so the legend is redundant. You can see that I've got a quite powerful chart editor here built into Dashboard Engine. Just because colors are nice, let's add the same ones over here to my timeline chart. So now we can see cross-filtering in action. If I want to look at wells that were created before 1940, I just make a selection over here, and these are the types of wells. If I want to see the timeline of development of just oil development wells, I can make that selection over here, and it's reflected over here. Double click to reset the selections. This is cross-filtering. This is what Dashboard Engine bakes in right into the dashboard canvas. So the reason the Dash developer doesn't need to write any callbacks is because the Dashboard Engine has them baked into the background. Let's continue rounding out this dashboard. So when I create when I create a card, I can put an element on it. Here's the list of elements that's built into Dashboard Engine right now. I've got bar charts, scatter plots, line charts, a couple of maps, various controls like range sliders, checklists, the drop-down you've already seen. Since the data here, I've got one row per well that has a location, let's go ahead and make a map. So I'll map the longitude and latitude. And let's get some color. All right, I can zoom in a little bit. And this map also follows the typical cross-filtering. So if I want to look at the well types and timeline of construction for this particular area, I just zoom in, everything refreshes. If I want to look just in this area at oil development wells, I make the selection and so on. Everything is automatically cross-linked. I'm going to add one more element to this particular dashboard here, which is my all-time favorite data analysis tool. It's called a pivot table. Some of you might be familiar with it. Make this a little bit bigger. So a pivot table is a special kind of table where you can map data variables to both the rows and the columns. So let's make a pivot table of the number of wells. And across the row, down the rows, I will put the well type. So right away, I've got count by well type. And across the columns, let's put the well status. So it's a little hard to read. I'll add some colors. Right away, you can see that there are a lot of active gas development wells. But okay, this is kind of a sparse table and it doesn't really fit. So we'll narrow this down to the top 5 of each. Gosh, I love this editor. All right, and now I've got a really nice sort of data-rich view here. I've got a summary built in of the number of wells that are in my data set, 21,000. If I just want to look at the active wells, I can make a selection and that's reflected everywhere else. If I just want to look at gas development wells, I can do that too. If I just want to look at active oil development wells, I can just double click. And of course, the pivot table itself is subject to the cross-filtering. So if I select, wells built before 1950, I can see that the top status for them is plugged and abandoned, and that's not all that surprising. So, before I get too lost into diving into all the sorts of neat analysis I can do, I should tie this back to how I started this demo, which is with the source code to a Dash application. And I told you that Dashboard Engine makes it possible to write Dash applications faster. And the way this works is if I put this canvas in editable mode again, I've got this special button here called the inspector. If I click on it, what I see here is the actual configuration for this dashboard. And in fact, I can copy it and paste it right back into the code of my app. So here I've got a line, elements and arrangements is basically empty. Elements and arrangements are the basic currency of the dashboard canvas. And what I can do is just paste the code that I got out of the inspector, and turn off the pencil, save the app, wait for it to reload. And what you get is a fully functional Dash application ready to deploy on Dash Enterprise. There's no pencil. No one can know that this was built with Dashboard Engine. Cross-filtering still works. In fact, the selection I had made was encoded in the configuration. If this was connected to a live data set rather than a static data set, then every time the user interacts with the dashboard or on a schedule, the data would be fed directly from the upstream data source. So in this way, you can build not only traditional dashboards of the type that Chris was talking about, but you can also feed in the output of machine learning models, the output of simulations. You can actually put in, say, a form here that a user can fill out. Because although I built this app from a template with just 20 lines of code and then I pasted in some configuration, this is a real Dash app. I can add callbacks if I want to. I don't have to if all I want is a dashboard. I've got access to the layout. I can add other components. This is sort of regular Dash with one really powerful component called the canvas. So this is how Dashboard Engine allows Dash developers to build apps faster. That answers one of the questions that we set out to answer with Dashboard Engine. The other question was all about empowering users to create their own views. So a minute ago, you saw me set editable to false to hide the little pencil. Mostly because, well, users, they don't really have access to the source code of the app, generally speaking. That's what differentiates an end user from a developer. And so giving them access to the inspector to paste the code back into the source isn't going to be very helpful. But that's not an insurmountable problem. Let me just switch over to a slightly different application here, also built with the dashboard engine. So here I've got the canvas, and this is essentially the same view that I had. But instead of turning on the inspector here, all we've done is we've added a save button for users. So this is using the same snapshot engine capability of Dash Enterprise that Chris showed when he showed how to make a PDF out of an application. So here a user can basically say you want to swap the position of these two charts. No problem. Lock that in. When I hit save, what's happened is that configuration, instead of being displayed in a modal to be pasted back into the source, has been saved to a database. That's the same configuration object. And again, this dashboard is ready to go, available to users. It's got its own URL that could be shared internally and bookmarked. This application here is just 200 lines of Python code and is also available as a one-click template in our Dash Enterprise app catalog. So this is the way in which Dashboard Engine not only lets you write apps faster just as a developer, but also lets you empower end users. But let's see what else this app can do. I've got actually a whole list of dashboards that I could make. This application lets users create multiple dashboards. So one interesting one that I wanted to show you, I've called it the gallery replica, is basically a dashboard engine powered version of that original 1,000 lines of Python app that I showed you. I've got a few data cards here. The same data cards are up here. I've got the timeline. Everything is cross-filterable. I've got the same, drop downs and range slider over here. And this app is also user editable. I can click edit. The pencil is available to me. If a user wants to make a modification, say add a scatter plot, then they can do so and either save that same chart or save a copy. Any kind of access control can be built into these things using the regular Dash capabilities. If I go back to my list, I can show you a couple other things that you can do. Here is an example of those scatter plots that you might want to see of sort of gas versus oil, water versus gas, oil versus water, production by well type, and everything is cross-filtered. So you can go and make very powerful, very sophisticated apps with many charts that cross-filter that can answer any kind of question about the data sets that are loaded in. Finally, I wanted to show one neat thing that might not be obvious about the way that cross-filtering works. So here is, again, the same data set. I've got a pivot table on the left-hand side here, quite similar to the one that I built earlier, top well types versus top well statuses. And on the right-hand side here, I have a data table. Now, the difference between a pivot table and a data table is that data table can show raw data. So if I were to scroll down and sort of page through here, I could see all 14,000 of the wells that are in the filter. And down to the individual well level, there's a name here. And what you can do with this, via the fact that these are cross-filtered, is you can choose a cell here, like the dry hole active, double-click and see the name and information about that one well that matches the parameters of this pivot table. So this shows that Dashboard Engine can be used to do any kind of drill down type workflow where you can actually use the dashboard canvas as a complicated as a sophisticated query tool to allow your users to really drill in and say, okay, this well, now I want to run a downstream analysis on this well. I can click a button and something else can happen. So Dashboard Engine not only supports graph-to-graph cross-filtering, but also table-to-table drill down, which is something that's quite time-consuming to build in regular Dash. So before I hand things back over to Chris, I've actually got another app that I want to show you. But to sort of set that up, I have to mention that the oil and gas data set here that I've been showing you is not really that big. There's only about 20,000 wells in it. And actually, because I've got data across multiple years for production of gas, water, and oil, I've actually got 200,000 lines, 100,000 rows of data in this data set. It's not that big. I loaded it into a pandas data frame, as you saw in the source code earlier. This is about the limit of what you can do with a pandas backend for Dashboard Engine. Every time you click, multiple filters and aggregations happen. And in order for things to feel snappy and work in real time, this is about the limit. But something else that our customers have told us about, beyond wanting to build apps faster and empower end users, is that they wanted to make it easier to work with larger data sets. And so to make it possible for Dashboard Engine to work with larger data sets, we've partnered with the fine folks who build the VEX data frame, which is VEX is spelled V-A-E-X if you haven't heard of it. It's an open source high performance data frame implementation that looks a little bit like Pandas from the outside, but scales to massively larger data sets. And we've worked very closely with the VEX folks to build a custom backend for Dashboard Engine that lets me do things like build this application. So this application has 41 million rows of data in it. Each row represents information about a cellular tower. The data comes from the Open Cell ID project. I've got information about when the cell tower was created, what the operator of the network is, and the technology that the cell tower uses, so LTE, CDMA, and so on. And just looking at this sort of world map, I can already see some interesting regional patterns, like the United States and East Asia are quite orange. That means a lot of LTE towers. India and parts of Europe are quite blue. I can start to explore this. So if I select just towers that were built a few years ago, you can see that the United States has a lot of CDMA, nowhere else. If I select just CDMA, it's very apparent that North America is basically one of the only places that deployed this particular technology. If I reset and go and look at some of the regional differences, if I zoom into Europe, I can quite easily see the outline of Germany in blue, and neighboring Czech Republic has a lot more orange. So clearly there's a lot more GSM deployment in rural Germany, although you can see major roads and urban centers in green here. And I can continue zooming out. I can go and look my hometown of Montreal here, and see that the major operators in Montreal are Bell Mobility, Telus Mobility, and Rogers Communications. I can drill, zoom in almost to the street level if I want, and look at a particular area down to the 400 towers that are in this particular area. So this is a demonstration of Dashboard Engine working with quite large data, 41 million rows. This is running on a single node. There's no GPU here. There's no cluster. There's no nothing. It's just regular Dashboard Engine with the high performance VEX backend. And of course, this is still user editable. I can drag these cards around. I can modify them if I want. I should mention that this application is also a copy of one that we have running on our gallery right now. So if you go look at the World Cell Towers application in our gallery, you have this demo that we built a couple of years ago. This was built by one of our most senior Dash app developers as a demonstration of how you can connect Dash and Dash Enterprise to the Dask cluster backend. It does the same thing. It took him about a week and a half to write. And it's actually quite complicated to set up because you need to set up a connection to a Dask cluster. So with Dashboard Engine, you're able to build this kind of application not only technically more easily because you don't need as much setup, but also significantly faster. So from talking to our early access users of Dashboard Engine, both internal and external, we've consistently heard that folks are able to build applications 10 to 100 times faster using Dashboard Engine than sort of regular Dash. And I do mean that quite literally. So I was able to assemble this application in Dashboard Engine in about a half hour, whereas it took our senior developer over a week to do this. And that's literally 100 times faster to build this type of application. So we're really excited to put this in the hands of every Dash Enterprise user to see what you're able to do when it takes 15 minutes to build a dashboard rather than a few days. And we're really excited about unlocking new ways of working for our customers that really bridge the gap between developers and end users. So where in the past, end users would have to go back to developers to have changes made, and while we've worked to make that loop as fast as possible, it's still more people than just users making changes directly. And we're already seeing the emergence among our early adopter population of a new class of user, a sort of power user that's into the data and into the visualizations and creating dashboards for others without needing to write any code. So we're really excited to bring this to the market and put this in the hands of Dash Enterprise users everywhere. Thanks very much for listening, and back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Nick. I'm so excited about Dashboard Engine. I've been using all the early prototypes for the last 18 months. And, last week, a customer sent me a data set after I talked to them on the phone. And, as Nick said, 15 minutes later, I sent them back an app. An app that's deployed on Dash Enterprise. It's got their data set loaded in. Only they have access control. And I can really attest to Nick's statement about 100 times faster. I did that in 15 minutes, and that level of cross-filtering interaction, being able to allow the customer to then create their own views instead of request a new type of chart, and me having to kind of like code that up based off their request. That it's 15 minutes versus a week. It's 15 minutes versus a month. It's me, one developer versus a whole team doing development. And I think it's a great sort of testament to the architectural foundations of Dash. We released it in 2017, that we can build these types of complex, sophisticated applications on the original Dash framework. Those are Dash components. Those are Dash components built with a Dash component boilerplate that community members, can use to create their own components. And it's so great to have one framework that can enable that kind of custom, bespoke application that's running custom models, and every element has, its own look and feel, and it's very tailor-made. To also being able to add in this canvas, this dashboard canvas component, as part of existing applications, or have the canvas be its own application itself. Just so excited for this, and I think from what we've seen of customers so far, they're able to create so many more applications, get to market quicker, and I can't wait to see what the broader community of our customers are going to do with this technology. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about the platform itself, Dash Enterprise, where that hosts your Dash applications, that provides all of the low-code developer capabilities like Dashboard Engine, like the design kit, and show you what this next generation of Dash Enterprise looks like. So this is Dash Enterprise that I'm sharing on my screen. The first thing that you'll note when you log in is completely new design. So we've got the default light theme. We've also got the dark theme. And this, the front end of this application has been rewritten from the ground up. So it's fast, it's really responsive. And everything, all these low-code tools on the left here, Dashboard Engine, Snapshot Engine, Design Kit, they're all available to you right here. You don't have to dig through the documentation to find them. These capabilities are only available on Dash Enterprise. They are capabilities that enhance your Dash application, that makes it easier and faster to write your Dash apps, and they're commercially licensed as part of the platform. The second thing that you'll notice when you log into Dash Enterprise is the app catalog is right at the top now. And the app catalog contains over 100 different Dash applications that you can get started with immediately. So even if you aren't a Dash Pro yet, you can start here and get working right away. Even if you are a Dash Pro, I think you're going to save a lot of time by starting with an application that's already written. The app catalog is categorized by all of the different types of features. So this first set of features are showing off the design kit, which is our low-code layout and theming capabilities for Dash. So the design kit contains the types of abstractions like cards and headers and sidebars and logos, and it themes everything in a really consistent way, so that you can have a consistent look and feel that matches your brand guidelines, that looks like the rest of your digital assets inside your organization. The next set of Dash applications is the Dashboard Engine. So Nick talked about how there's a few different starter applications that show off those different types of workflows. These are available inside the app catalog. And for all of these applications, you can view the source code for them. You can also just click Use Template, and that's going to create an application based off of this application from this sample app catalog. We have large data workflows. These workflows use some of the popular open source data libraries in Python. We talked about Vex, that is being used by Dashboard Engine internally. Snapshot Engine is the way for you to save views of your Dash application. Dashboard Engine uses that for users to save views. It's also used to create reports. It uses the reporting engine to create really nice PDF reports. So these PDF reports, can be 1 page, or they can be, a 100-page report. Our first customer that we built for the reporting engine for was creating these types of financial analysis reports that were being used by institutional investors, and they were 100-page, printed, bound, delivered, in-person reports, and they built it entirely in Dash. The next set of capabilities in the app catalog is the embedding middleware. So we've talked a lot about using Dash applications internally, and sharing applications within your organization, but about 40% of our customers are using Dash to also share their analytics with their own customers. So they're using it internally, but they're also sort of productizing their Dash applications. So you can share your Dash app with a unique URL and give your customers a login directly to that app. But some of our customers want a more integrated experience because they already have a customer login. They've already got a website that customers are visiting that's built in some other technology, whether that's AngularJS or Django backend, or maybe it's Salesforce. And they wanted to be able to embed advanced analytics within that existing website that's already part of their product. So the embedded middleware enables this with Dash. It does it in a really secure way. This is an example of the embedded middleware inside an existing app, where this outer frame here is the parent application. It's not written in Dash. It's already got authentication experience. And then these two graphs are actually two different Dash applications embedded, but embedded securely. They aren't using iframes. They're passing signed JWT tokens from the host application down to the Dash application. So you can't view the Dash app unless you are logged into the host app. So really powerful capabilities that enable this type of model where you can enhance your existing offering with Dash. When you create a Dash application on Dash Enterprise 5, you've got a whole host of settings available to you. Our goal with Dash Enterprise is to have a vertically integrated platform. So any feature that you need to operationalize Dash applications within your organization is provided by the platform. In every release, we're adding new features here. We don't want you to have to go to IT to request a new feature for your Dash application. We want all of the features that make your applications enterprise grade and trusted by your IT organization within the platform itself. So that includes things like being able to have Redis and Postgres databases directly inside Dash app. Postgres databases are used to store application state of your app. So those saved views of the dashboard engine are being stored in Postgres running on the Kubernetes cluster. Redis databases are used for running background job queues or for caching data to make your applications more performant. And in Dash Enterprise 5, these databases are running on that same Kubernetes cluster that's running the rest of your applications. Since everything is running inside Kubernetes, you have really great controls for scaling your application and also restricting memory and CPU limits. So this is really important for some of our customers running mission critical workloads where they don't want one application to bring down another application because these applications are living in the same environment. With CPU and memory limits, you can limit the amount of CPU that is being used by the Dash application. And it's not just limiting, but it's also reserving. So if there's a mission critical application that you've running, you don't want other applications running on the platform using that app CPU, you want to reserve it. So you want to say, this app is using 4 CPUs. So when traffic hits, no other applications are going to use this app's resources. You've got memory limits as well. So if there's a memory leak in your code or in a third-party library, it's not going to bring down anything else. It's just going to restart the application when it hits that limit. And it restarts it really gracefully, right? So this is a sort of a basic tenet of having highly available applications where you have these smart, graceful resets. So in case something does go wrong when you're not watching, an application can restart gracefully and traffic isn't disrupted. Dash applications are stateless, which means that it's really easy to scale them up vertically and horizontally. In Dash Enterprise 5, the platform is running on a Kubernetes cluster, which means it can run across multiple servers. And these applications are running across multiple servers. So if you scale up the containers from say 1 to 5, it basically means there's going to be 5 copies of your Dash application running. If the platform is running on a Kubernetes cluster with more than 1 server, then that will be distributed across those servers. So if there's an AWS node failure, then that could bring down one of the copies, but the other copies of the application are still running, which means traffic won't be disrupted. This is another kind of basic tenet of high availability of horizontally scaled applications and platforms. The access controls for Dash are built into the platform, so you can restrict who can view the Dash application. You can add users explicitly by username or email, whether that's internal users or adding viewership to external users, your own stakeholders, your own customers. In Dash Enterprise 5, we added co-owners, which is ability to share your application with other developers inside your organization so that they can push changes to this application, or they can duplicate this application and kind of start where you left off or create their own version of the app that you created. This can also be used for service accounts. So if you want to be updating your application from a CI/CD job, you can create a service account, add that service account as a co-owner. That service account will be pushing the changes in your CI/CD pipeline, and then you're able to log in using your regular account to make other types of changes. In Dash Enterprise 5, we have this workspaces feature, which allows you to view the code of your Dash application in a built-in IDE on the platform. So this is really cool because it means that you don't need to download anything on your own desktop to start using Dash. And especially with the app catalog, you can click through, create an app from the catalog, open it up in a workspace. You haven't downloaded anything to your desktop. If you're a new user, you don't need to even download Python onto your machine. You can get started with a workspace right away. Everything is installed, everything is pre-configured from Python to Conda to the packages are used to run your application, to the system dependencies like the database drivers. It's all packed into this workspace environment. And because the workspace is running on the platform itself, it has the same network permissions as the rest of the application. So if your IT team sets up Dash Enterprise to access certain databases inside your organization or data stores like S3, many IT departments don't want to open that up to individual workstations. They only want to open it up to sort of the smallest footprint available, and they can open it up to Dash Enterprise, and that means that access to those databases internally will be available for your deployed applications as well as for your development environments. The security footprint here is a lot smaller when using Dash Enterprise workspaces and developing on the same platform that you're deploying on, including the network access and the underlying hardware. So we talked a little bit about creating an application from an app template. Another really cool feature of Dash Enterprise is the ability to add your own templates to that built-in catalog. So Plotly ships with over 100 applications in the app catalog, but you can add your own. So for any of these applications that I've created, I can go down to say my S3 starter app. I can right click on this menu here and say create template from app, and that's going to add it to the app catalog. Also, when I go up to create my application, I've got a few more options in Dash Enterprise 5. Instead of just starting from scratch, I can start from an existing application. And when I start from an existing application, I'll see all of the applications that I have access to. And that might be apps that I've written, or it might be apps that my colleagues have written and they've given me access to. This is a really great workflow because it means that you can start creating applications that are connecting to different data stores or running the really common models inside your organization. And then other team members can go in and they can pick, the MySQL application or the S3 application or the application that connects to Azure Data Lake or Databricks. And that application has everything you need already to connect to those data sources because it's been written and tested internally by a member of your team. And that includes not just the code, but also the environment variables used to securely connect to that app. Those environment variables being the credentials that you're using, like the database passwords or other types of secrets that are necessary for connecting to that data store. So this goes a lot further than just doing a git clone on a Git platform, because doing a git clone just includes the code. It doesn't include all the other services, environment variables, secrets, access control that is really required to bring an application into production or start doing development on an application. So we're really excited about this feature, and I think when you get onboarded onto Dash Enterprise with our team, we've set up separate sessions with the data pipeline team so they can start creating these applications that are sort of the blessed application for connecting to these data stores. And then when the data scientists come in or the analysts come in who are creating the applications that are experts of that data, they can start from something that's pre-configured. It's a really, really nice workflow. From an IT perspective, we've modernized a lot of the platform. For identity and access management, we've partnered with Red Hat to use Keycloak as part of our identity provider and to use Keycloak to connect to your own identity providers. So Keycloak is a project maintained by Red Hat, and it's open source, and many of our customers were already using this project inside their organization for other internal apps. So Keycloak allows you to connect to any other type of IDP, whether that's over the protocols of LDAP or SAML or OpenID Connect, and it gives you a lot of other controls like being able to view user sessions, being able to log out users remotely, and or control session lengths. The other thing that we've modernized with Dash Enterprise 5 is our installation experience. In Dash Enterprise 5, we spin up not just the software itself, but we also give IT departments the automation for creating the Kubernetes cluster using tools like Terraform or CloudFormation. So this was a huge area of improvement for us, where we had IT departments that were creating the automation themselves. Every company was kind of doing the same type of infrastructure automation, and it could take a couple weeks to a couple of months. In 5, we're providing all of this installation automation to you to your IT department so they can spin this stuff up automatically, and we're partnering with you to do this. So if you need to make any customizations to the installation script, we're going to partner with you to do that, and that'll ensure that we have the same environment internally that you have when you're running, so that we can test any differences or subtleties to it and really maintain a high quality of software. As I mentioned before, this is all built on top of Kubernetes, which is an open platform. And one of the really exciting things about Kubernetes is that there's a whole host of capabilities and projects that speak the same sort of Kubernetes protocols. This is a project called Lens, which is sort of the Kubernetes IDE. And this is connected to my Dash Enterprise cluster. And because we're running on standard modern Kubernetes, we get all this tooling for free. This is tooling that your IT departments might already be using if they're running Kubernetes internally. And you can see things like CPU usage, memory usage, and you've got a really nice granular detailed view into the actual software running on Dash Enterprise. So we're not rolling our own software here, we're building off of the community standard, which means that there's a ton of capabilities that IT departments get for free. This is one of the benefits of building off of the modern Kubernetes platform. So that's just a quick overview of Dash Enterprise 5. There's tons of new capabilities across all of these different features. I think we are a little over time, but we'll take a few minutes for a couple of questions that have come in. And really looking forward to scheduling a demo with your organization. Reach out to us at info@plotly.com, and just can't wait to see you using this platform. So Sebastian, I'll leave it to you to ask any questions.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for all that amazing information. That was jam-packed with a lot of insights and some very special features. Taking flow down from a week to 15 minutes, amazing. Being able to have a centralized location for all of your deployment platforms, incredible as well. So without further ado, let's jump into our audience questions and we'll take a look. So I've been monitoring the questions, and one of the questions that I can summarize is, can I install Dash Enterprise on my own hardware? That's the first question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Since the beginning, we've built Dash Enterprise to be an enterprise-grade platform, which means that you're going to need to run it inside your own firewall. You're going to need to run it on your own hardware. Whether that's hardware that you're renting from AWS, Azure, GCP, or whether it's servers that you actually have inside your organization. No data leaves the platform. It's all running inside your firewall.
Sounds great. Awesome. Transitioning over to the dashboard engine, seeing a lot of questions about what data sources that the dashboard engine can connect to. This might be a question for Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Another great question. So the short answer is that Dashboard Engine comes with an SDK that Dash developers can use to bridge the gap between wherever the data sits at rest and this Pandas and Vex backend that I mentioned. So the answer is that Dashboard Engine can connect to anything that Python can connect to. If your data is sitting at rest in a format that the data frame can access, like a Parquet file or something like that, then there's no problem. Either the Pandas or the Vex backend will connect to it directly. If your data set is upstream in a SQL database, in a Databricks cluster, in a homegrown API, a Python connection provider can be written. It's just a few lines of code. It's a Python function that basically retrieves the data from the upstream API with whatever kind of caching policy you want to sort of protect that API. Or if you need to just query it in real time, you can do that as well. And that same approach can be used to connect Dashboard Engine to the output of a machine learning model. So Dashboard Engine, just to reiterate, you're not sort of stuck in a world where you're just analyzing static pre-existing data. If your application calls for using the sort of drag and drop self-serve techniques of Dashboard Engine to analyze the output of a model, be it a simulation, a machine learning model, or whatever else that you're doing in your organization, you can pipe the output of that model directly into a Dashboard Engine canvas using the connection SDK that we have.
Fantastic. Sounds like anything that Python can use, Dash Enterprise can also use. Fantastic. This next question I'd like to address is related to pricing. The question is, do you license based on the number of viewers of a particular app? Maybe a question for Chris.
Yeah, I can take that one. We don't license on the number of viewers, which is it's a great question. Our pricing model is kind of a new paradigm, different from what you might expect from Power BI or Tableau, where every single person looking at the dashboard is likely a paying customer. We license instead on the number of developers. So, this is because we want AI applications at Fortune 500 companies to have the widest distribution possible. Some of our favorite customers, they have thousands and thousands of end users of these Dash applications who every day they're running Python models through the Dash app user interface. And we think that's really awesome. We think that's a transformative power for these companies to suddenly put Python models in the hands of any employee that they can run through a Dash app user interface and create business value. So we don't want to limit the number of Dash app users, the users of these Dash apps, and the viewers of these Dash apps at companies. So instead, we price on the scale of your Kubernetes cluster and the number of Dash app developers. And I guess the last thing I'd add is at a lot of these companies, very large companies, sometimes there's only a couple dozen Dash app developers, only a couple dozen Python, R, or Julia developers who are building these Dash apps that then reach thousands of employees, whether it's executives or technicians or middle management at these large companies.
That's exciting. It really seems like we really are trying to empower one Dash developer to be able to enable a lot of other people. Very, very, very cool. Next question is related to Dashboard Engine, talking about, summed up as, how customizable is the Dashboard Engine?
Great question I get all the time. No one wants to be locked into a framework where, I, as the product manager, have decided the 6 chart types that you can make. So Dashboard Engine follows the same philosophy as the rest of the platform. Dashboard Engine is actually built on top of Dash, like Chris said. It's a real validation of the architecture. It's not a whole new way of building Dash applications. Dashboard Engine is sort of just provides the canvas component. Within the canvas component, there are cards that are laid out in an arrangement, and then there are elements. So those elements are actually built themselves out of Dash components. We've curated sort of the top list of the most commonly used elements in most dashboards that our customers are building today, but we're going to get it wrong. And there's this long tail of visualizations that folks need to be making. One that comes to mind that Chris showed is that awesome shot visualization from the NBA. That's unlikely to ever be a built-in element. And so within Dashboard Engine, Dash app developers will be capable of creating their own elements by assembling them out of Dash components. And so Dashboard Engine will come with an SDK in the next release in January for Dash app developers to be able to build their own elements. That said, it is also possible to hook in both at the top end and the bottom end of Dashboard Engine to basically feed in data based on any kind of input, as well as capture the output of the Dashboard Engine. So you don't have to think of your Dash app as being constrained by what the Dashboard Engine can do. Dashboard Engine is sort of one additional arrow in your quiver when you're building your Dash application. The final thing I'll say is that the existing elements are also extendable. So you can literally subclass them and modify them. So if you don't want to build a whole custom element, but you just want to put, I don't know, a horizontal line on one of our bar charts, you can do that with about 10 lines of Python.
Awesome. Sounds like I love the bow and arrow metaphor. Tons of arrows in the quiver rather than a single cannon, so to speak. But the last question, I definitely want to summarize as, how does Dash compare to other traditional kinds of business intelligence tools like Tableau and Power BI and all these other kinds of platforms? How does Dash compare?
Well, I can take that one. I think there's a few differences. One is just in the complexity of analytics. So with Dash and Plotly as a company, we want to take your business where Tableau and Power BI just simply can't go. So that includes analytics like predictive analytics, computer vision, natural language processing, clustering, really anything that can be categorized as AI or ML. We specialize in creating front ends through Dash and then deploying those front ends with Dash Enterprise. So that's the first difference is, I think quote unquote AI capabilities like natural language processing, predictive analytics, they're becoming commonplace. It's not, this isn't a thing of the future anymore. I mean, we see new AI apps deployed at Fortune 500 companies daily. So we want to bring your business from just a world of BI dashboards to a world of AI apps, because that's just what's going to be completely commonplace a couple of years from now. I think the other big difference is Dash is an open, hackable platform. So even if you've never written a line of Python code before, through low-code tools like Dashboard Engine, Design Kit, through workspaces where you can start writing a Python app without even having to download Python on your computer, we've seen customers have success creating Dash apps with as their very first Python project. So they've never touched Python before, but they're able to create something in the afternoon that, you know, they're proud to show their colleagues and generates business value and connects to a data store at their company. And that's something that we're really excited about. Just we find, you know, coding to be creative. We find it to be rewarding. We find it, it's got power to solve analytic problems that are out of reach of point and click software. And having that level of customization, even if you're a complete beginner to Python, R, or Julia, is something that's just not available in kind of monolithic, closed platform, point and click BI software. I mean, you can, with Dash apps, you can really channel your creative process and create an analytic or AI app that really has your own personal touch on it and is unlike anyone else's AI app. And we find, you know, our customers have a lot of joy with that creative process, and that's a uniquely different process than you know, clicking through closed source BI software like Tableau or Power BI, where, you know, the end output is going to be something very similar to what a dashboard someone else has made.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, well stated, one and all. And to our audience members, thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you for using Plotly. Thank you for being with us on this journey. We're excited for everything that we showed you today. Please get in contact with us if any of these pique your interest. You see the information right there, info@plot.ly. Please reach out. We'd love to start a conversation with your team. Please start a conversation with our sales folks. We're excited to connect you to our experts who can help you explore your use cases. So we're very excited about Dash Enterprise 5.0. Once again, I would love to remind everybody that you will have access to this webinar recording. We will send that to you shortly. So don't fret if any of your colleagues missed it. You will be able to let them in on all the juicy details that you were able to see today. So once again, on behalf of everyone speaking here and on behalf of Plotly, we'll have to thank you and say we're very grateful for you being here, and have a good rest of your Wednesday. We can't wait to hear from you.
Thanks, Sebastian. Thanks, everyone. This was awesome.